Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. If you've not been here before, if you've been here before, then welcome back. I know there's a few of you that watch all the time. I am Jay, the American expat, or that idiot as some people prefer to call me. And as you can see, I am no longer in the city or the mountains of Fujian province. I'm now out here in the countryside of Anhui province, amongst the rice paddies, in the rain. And today I'm going to be talking about people leaving China. Why they are, at least as far as I'm concerned, why I am planning to move China, making preparations. I know I've hinted at it before in other past videos, but today it's especially on my mind, so I thought I'd make a video about it, so stick around. Ah, yes. I am planning to move away from China. A lot of you, as I said, probably already know about that, but today I'm going to go in a bit more depth about it. As I said, it's especially on my mind. Maybe I'll talk about some of the reasons why I think it's necessary to leave China. It's not because I'm afraid there's a war or something like that, although, you know, that certainly does play into it. But some of my main reasons have to do with stability. Today, my wife's family has been quite concerned and trying to convince us not to go. Of course, that's the family that's here in the mainland. They don't understand. They've not been to the United States, some of them, so they don't know what it's like. All they know is what they hear on the news here in China, of course, from the Chinese news, that the whole country is on fire. There are people roaming about with guns and all kinds of dangerous things, and the virus is everywhere. Yes, that old virus, the coronavirus, is ravaging the country. And never mind the fact, excuse me, that it's reared its ugly head here again in China. Beijing is now the latest victim, having an outbreak, which is being blamed on a wet market of all things. Yet again, boy, they really love to blame those wet markets, don't they? As with the last time, I think that that's a bunch of baloney. I think it's just a convenient scapegoat. Just like in Wuhan, I think that it had nothing to do with that wet market. I think that they discovered the virus and like, oh crap, what are we going to do? Well, we have to come up with a reason why, or where it came from. Well, isn't there that really dirty wet market over there? That place is filthy. It probably came from there. Let's just say it came from there. Probably the same deal in Beijing. They'll say how dirty it is, and they're selling all kinds of weird things. Apparently this time they're saying it was on cutting boards from salmon, I guess. I've never heard of people catching viruses from fish. But, well, I guess when you have to blame somebody, you live and blame a fish. Well, before hitting the road back to Jiangsu province, I'm heading into town, possibly to get some snacks or something. So I've got some, well, I don't know. I'm going to get some caffeine is what I'm planning to do. We'll see what the situation is like in the supermarket. And I guess we'll see if they've actually got anything with caffeine besides tea. I'm not, you know, it's funny living in China. Of course, China is a big place for tea. I'm not a big fan of tea in most cases. I mean, I'll drink some iced tea sometimes, but yeah, I'm not a big tea drinker. Maybe I just haven't been exposed to enough types of tea. I mean, in China, there's so many different kinds of tea. I'm sure I'll drink milk tea or bubble tea or maybe some mixed with juice. That's always pretty good. They have a lot of different things like that. Now, okay, I'll drink tea in that case, but that supermarket's not going to have that. And that's not enough caffeine. I need something with some real kick to it. So back to what I was saying about moving, which I'm definitely planning to do with my son and my wife. The situation here in China, the biggest reason that I can think of for wanting to leave, and I think that there's probably a lot of other people who are feeling the same, is a sudden lack of stability here inside China. I mean, I really don't know what's happening here from one day to the next. One day things are fine. You know, it goes back to this whole trade war thing. I remember being really excited because they'd actually signed like a preliminary trade deal, and now like both countries are basically saying, you know, everything's off. They can just abandon the trade deal. One day the government here is saying something good about the United States, and the next it's basically the end of the world. One day everything's calm. The next thing you know, the Chinese military, the PLA, they're sending a carrier strike group around Taiwan, or flying fighter jets over Taiwan airspace, and then giving the excuse that it's their own territory so they can do it, which, I mean, come on. Taiwan, I've mentioned this before, they've got their own elected government, their own money, their own military. At what point do you say, okay, it's not the same country, you know? It also predates the People's Republic of China, so they can say it's theirs all they want, but the fact is it's not. And then, you know, to make matters worse, in retaliation, of course, now the United States, the last I've heard, they have 3 super carriers that have been sent to Asia. So, I don't know, things escalate so fast these days. You just never know what's going to happen. So, there's just a lot of instability. Another thing that I've noticed lately, I mentioned this in another video, I believe. Someone I know, they went to go and get an extension on their visa because, well, they can't really go back home and they don't want to. They wanted to stay in China. And rather than extend their visa, their 10-year visa got canceled and replaced with a 30-day visa. And I expect this is happening a lot around China. It's kind of a disaster. So even people that want to stay, it seems as though the government here is maybe trying to push them out to get rid of a lot of the foreigners. They're already not letting people back in, whether you have a residence permit or whatever it is, you can't come back in. There's no sign of the borders actually opening up. I know there's something about having more flights coming up soon, but they still haven't announced that they're going to open up the borders, so I don't know. It doesn't sound good to me. You just don't know. I mean, there's no plan. There's nothing concrete in this place. You know, it's funny, for a place that supposedly considers stability to be the #1 most important thing for things to work, the place is certainly a basket case. That's all I can say. It's just a mess. I don't know, well, actually, I have my own little theory about what has happened with the government and why things have changed so much since the time when I originally came to China. But maybe I can save that for, well, maybe I can talk about it in this video. I don't know. It depends on how much time we have. Maybe we can get to my theory. A lot of people that are actual experts might disagree, or maybe they would agree. Who knows? But I'm pretty sure I know what's going on from my little perspective here. So the government leadership changed in about 2011, 2012. And if you're one of the foreigners that have been here, a Lawai, that's been in China since that time or slightly before, you probably noticed a big change in China. Suddenly, you know, they'd gone through a lot of opening up and a lot of restrictions being removed back in the 80s, and that worked all the way basically up until that time. And since 2011, 2012, a lot of those freedoms and the opening up is kind of reversed. In fact, it's gotten very restrictive. You know, that's like the Great Firewall thing with the internet. That's a product of the time period that I'm talking about. And I'm just about to the market, by the way. Yeah, they what am I trying to say here? I'm pretty sure that a new faction of took over, you know, Xi Jinping and his group, and as a result, things have kind of gone in reverse, and they've just been steadily getting more and more restrictive. And you know, they keep having these periods where they just send all this propaganda and the public just blows up about the government. Yeah, here we are at the supermarket. I'll find a place to park real quick here. They've actually gotten more since the last time I came here. Here's my charcoal coffee water, the original that I used to get all the time. But now they have this mocha coffee water. It's got this really cool guy on there. He's pretty happy about the coffee. Maybe that means I'll be pretty happy about the coffee. Yeah, we'll give it a try. 5 RMB, that's not much. Sure. All right, got it. Now we can get some caffeine. Climb into the car. Yeah. Okay. Now to go find a quiet place to drink this coffee. Because I know if I bring it home, my son will want to drink it, and I know that's a terrible mistake. Definitely don't want my son getting any of the coffee. It'd be a terrible, terrible mistake. So yeah, we'll find a quiet place to park, and maybe I can go on a little bit more about why I'm moving and why I think probably some other people are looking to get out, if they haven't already. So like I was saying, there's another group in the government, and well, they for the last about almost 10 years have been rolling back all of the progress, as far as the West, we look at it as progress, that China has made. I get the feeling that a lot of them see that, I don't want to have to get too much into a history lesson on China, but obviously China's a communist country, and at one point Mao had pretty much wrecked the economy of China. And there was a guy named Deng Xiaoping that was in charge, and they'd kind of put in some capitalist reforms that had started to bring it back from that point. But, well, Mao didn't like losing control, because they'd had him step down after his terrible disaster with the Great Leap Forward. And that's what started the Cultural Revolution, and they removed Deng Xiaoping and a bunch of other people from power because, well, in their eyes, they had rolled things back from progress toward communism. And it wasn't until the 1980s when Deng Xiaoping finally came back to power that, they really started making progress in Western terms and brought back all these capitalist reforms. And that is what has resulted in the prosperous China that we all think of today. But these other people, I don't think they ever left the government. They just lost power. They've just been biding their time. And Xi Jinping and these other people, I believe, are part of that group. And now they have power. And they've been rolling back all of the capitalist reforms and all of the progress, as we see it, that had been made. And now their changes that they've made have resulted in it's kind of wrecking the economy right now. Sure, the coronavirus and the trade deal, that's just a catalyst. This was happening anyway because they were getting rid of all the things that made all the money in the first place. All the investment comes from the West. And, that reminds me of another thing. These countries in Europe and anyone that wants to play along with China, they're such, I don't know. It just disgusts me to see what they're doing. But I digress. So yeah, the capitalist reforms have been being rolled back, and well, now we see the consequences of that. And they have just brought back street vending. Now I see that they have probably realized their mistake, and they're trying desperately to bring back all of this capitalist reform. But you really have to look at that. It's like a roller coaster ride, all these ups and downs. So does that mean that as soon as things are okay again, they're just going to cut the reforms again and go back to communism? So that to me is very unstable. It tells me that, if you do invest, sure, you might be able to make some money, but you might end up losing it later on as they start to put on the full communism. As I like to put it, they put on the brakes. Anyway, too much instability. It's just not going to work out. I mean, I really think that they have stopped making decisions based on logic and reason, and they're now just making all of their decisions based on ideology and this overzealous attitude toward communism and nationalism. And so when before I would like to have thought that there's no way they would start a war. There's no way they would invade Taiwan or do something foolish like that. But more and more I'm starting to see we're not dealing with the same people anymore. These are not pragmatists. These are people that are, zealots. They're just, they would invade Taiwan, even just to save face. Oh, it's pretty bumpy right here. Hang on. These people would. We're not talking about people that are using logic here. We're talking about people that are, it's almost like a religion. That's the way I'd describe it. And so even that, I don't know, they might just do something in the South China Sea or in Taiwan that would spark a massive war because they aren't thinking logically. And they might even think, well, China's the best. It's the best in the world. 5,000 years of history. We would win. We'd beat those Americans because of our spirit. And yeah, these are the kind of people we're dealing with here. And so major lack of stability. I just don't know. I mean, things could go the opposite way. It could be way better, but it's not something you can count on. I mean, I can't sit here today and look at the situation and say, oh, because of such and such policy or because of this, things are going to be better and they're going to be stable. The way I'm looking at it, it's just so unstable that it could be really good, it could be really bad, but it's not something that I can plan on. And even with the riots and stuff happening in the United States, which is insane, it's a much more stable place. I can count on it. I can plan ahead, and no, I'm not going to, assuming they don't just get rid of the police, which is, in my opinion, stupid, but that's my opinion, so everybody can have their opinion. If you think the police getting rid of them is a good idea, well, this isn't really a thing to discuss politics, but I think it's a dumb idea. But I digress again. In the United States, I can count on it. I can plan on what's going to happen because it's a stable place. Despite anything that people are telling you, just listen to what I said a little bit ago about this place, and you'll be able to see why the United States is considered so stable. Okay, so without further delay, let's give this coffee a try. Try and open this one-handed here. I already broke the seal. There we go. Coffee. Here goes. Well, I can report that it tastes identical to the other brand in, who knows, maybe this is actually the same brand. And this is just like the new version of it. Mocha water. Yeah, it tastes like watery. I don't taste much chocolate in there. There's a slight hint of coffee. Very slight. Yeah, it's the same as all the other stuff that I get. It'll say like Americano on there. It'll say, latte or whatever it says. It tastes exactly the same. It's always the ones that are like 5 RMB, which let me calculate. So, well, it's cheap. It's less than $1 anyway. Wait, coffee in America is cheap. I could get something like real coffee in America and it would be about the same. So what am I talking about? It's cheap. It's cheap by Chinese standards. Yeah, coffee's expensive in China, so it does it. Well, I don't know. Maybe it has some caffeine in there. We'll find out how I feel later on. But yeah, mocha coffee from Coffee Wodun brand. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I can't believe what I'm seeing. So I knew that this was a place where they test tanks. I'm just sitting here drinking my coffee. There's a tank driving by. Okay, there's the new Chinese main battle tank. There's a couple of them going by. I got a little recording with the iPhone. It's not going to be very good, but yeah, wow. Okay, there they go. I probably better get out of here because they're going to come tell me to stop. Okay, probably good that I left when I did. I was surrounded by trucks full of soldiers, apparently, and tanks and APCs driving over that course. So, wow, yeah, that was interesting. I'm glad they didn't notice that I was a foreigner. I made sure that I was drinking my coffee quite vigorously. Hopefully, maybe my my hat here was a good enough disguise. Either way, they didn't come and check to see if I was recording. I don't think they would have liked an American sitting there in a car watching as they practice driving their battle tanks and such. Oh my goodness, wow. I'm glad I got to see that. I knew that course was there. I just had never seen them actually driving any tanks on it, so today's the day. I saw the tanks and a bunch of soldiers, so time to head back to the house in preparation for leaving for Jiangsu province later on, in preparation for packing up a bunch of stuff in order to go back to America. So what a crazy thing. Wow. And amazing. I wonder how clear that is in the video. Probably not very good, but still I saw it. That was amazing. I actually got to see it. I'm so proud. Isn't that something that just as I was talking about, you know, these people being crazy enough to start a war, what do I see? Hey, that's the Chinese, their new main battle tank driving on the course with a bunch of APCs and bus loads and truckloads of soldiers driving down the road. Yeah, if I were a superstitious person, I'd take it for a sign. Yeah, there's going to be a war. I just saw it. They're preparing. You know, I have fun with that one. Sometimes I'll see on the Chinese news, they'll show like their tanks driving over the course, and I happen to know where the course is that they're showing all the time on the news. It's right here in rural Anhui province, in this little tiny town. It just happens to pass through here. But yeah, once again, I'm just glad they didn't notice me. That would have looked really bad, an American sitting there watching their tank. What are you doing? You made recordings of it? What are you doing? What is the purpose of you being here? I'm like, I'm just some dumb guy. I seriously, my son is here. My my Chinese grandma. No, that would be a bad idea. Don't tell them about them, then they'll be in trouble. But yeah, nobody noticed, so perfectly fine. The one place where there aren't cameras everywhere, where they have the military stuff, all the cameras are facing the other way. Anyway, yeah, quite exciting for me. I like military stuff, tanks and that sort of thing. They're pretty cool. Not because I like people going to war or that sort of thing, just they're kind of cool, you know. If I could drive a tank, I'd drive a tank, sure. Assuming it had air conditioning. I'm pretty sure that most American tanks, I don't know, maybe the newest ones have air conditioning, but I know they didn't before. So maybe if you are watching and you happen to know about it, or if you're in the military, you can tell me. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that American tanks, don't, at least in the past, did not have air conditioning. And while I can't be certain, I'm pretty sure that the Chinese tanks definitely don't have air conditioning. I don't think they'd be spending money on creature comforts. Their budget isn't quite what the United States has, and if the United States isn't paying for creature comforts in their military equipment, then I can't be certain, but I'm pretty sure that the Chinese government isn't paying for the creature comforts for the PLA soldiers. They don't even give them body armor. Well, who knows? Maybe they save money on the body armor and put it into creature comforts inside the tanks and such, but I doubt it. I mean, I've seen how they transport their soldiers around. They're just in the back of a truck, essentially. No, not essentially. They're in the back of what would just be used for transporting almost anything, you know, just boxes. They're just sitting under a tarp. But, yeah. Main battle tank, just so exciting. Well, with that, I probably got enough for this video, so I'll get it put together and get it uploaded. If you enjoyed it, like, share, subscribe, and I guess we'll see you guys in the next one.